And here in Cloud Kingdom to the top right, we have our Zerg player for the FXO team. This is...
FXO Reno.
Known for great play in the late game and his creep spread, giving him the nickname Lean Octopus. His opponent, great player, known by many IDs, but the most popular one, the current one, it is...
SK Telecom 1 Rain.
And this guy, obviously, a lot of experience in StarCraft 1, but a little bit of catching up to do in StarCraft 2. Managed to hang on by a thread, some might argue, in this tournament, having some tough matches to get through. And he's succeeded, but I don't feel he's looked as dominant as some of the other Casper players who are still in this bracket.
And right now, one of the things that he's up against is, of course, a very tough Zerg opponent who's done very well against Protoss in the recent past, especially on this map against MC, the 2-1 victory, notable. He won against Lure and Tails, both of them in GSTL, and only Creator was recently able to defeat Leonov.
Yeah.
Everyone else just completely was obliterated by this strong Zerg player for the FXO team.
Yeah, and I would recommend watching Leonok versus MC, a great series of decision-making, wit, and strategies, as well as mechanics. It's a good match to watch. Not going to be able to watch it in time right now if you haven't watched it yet, so just watch this one instead. Go back and watch that one if you haven't seen it.
Rain at this point is going for the Forge as the second building. He starts things off with the Nexus first here, and Leonok has the Overlord in position, so he can scout. The Zerg player started things off with the normal pool timing and went then straight into a Gasless Expand, the usual opening that we see these days against every Protoss player, basically. And now, of course, it's a question of whether Leonok wants to play a little bit of a sneaky style again, or if he's just going to take his third base, which is the more likely choice.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the more likely choice, but anything is possible for Lean Octopus. Be very aggressive at times. See what Rain has planned as well. We'll see if he gets his Forge starting that research ASAP, or if he's got some other strategy planned. This is a map where we normally see light pressure into a third base, not a lot of heavy pressure. Sometimes you can see builds like the big Blink Stalker build, but this is not something we'll necessarily see from Rain. Casper Process against Zerg, though, have really been favoring these two-base timing attacks rather than the late game. It's very clear that they're not as comfortable in that type of scenario. And in StarCraft 1, Protoss versus Zerg is very different than StarCraft 2's Protoss versus Zerg. Guardians and Broodlords are not quite the same thing, and they serve very different roles, and there's no mothership in StarCraft 1, so things are, I'd say, a bit different. Hydralisk as well, not quite the same in StarCraft 1.
So far we have now the cybernetic score halfway done, and then Rain will have to choose whether he wants to go for kind of a robotics opening, if he wants to just attack on gateways, or if we will see a Stargate, which is the choice that MC made against Leonok. And at this point in time, Leonok on his 3 bases, he's just about to complete his 3rd hatchery, and of course still scouting. He knows with his Overlord exactly about the wall that Rain is using here, and therefore also aware that a Zealot is already in the gap, so we don't see the sneaky attack that Leonok used just not too recently. And of course also that we've seen yesterday when Jaedong played against Genius. Both of them relied on the scouting information and acted upon what they scouted. Saw an opening and took the chance. So neither Leonok nor Jaedong really went from the start for this this opening, this really aggressive start with his low Zerglings, but they just saw an opening and they took it and won the games every single time. So really well done. And at this point now, +1 has been started, so we'll definitely see an attack that centers around gateways once again.
Yeah. And, well, he's taken the additional gas as well. Possibility of 1-1 robo timing is there, especially since he just added that robo right now. With this build, often those players will get +1 armor because you don't have the Twilight Count, so you can't get that better attack. Leonok has taken his gases now, and I think Rain is actually going to commit to this quite heavily. Leonok has got a scouting Overlord in here. He's checked the normal location for robotics, but he hasn't checked the second one. Normally you see robotics near the ramp. That's the place where people tend to hide that. And he's actually not going to see it with his current path. But he will also not see gateways, so it's kind of indicative of...
But he sees it because he saw the pylon and then he immediately flew to the left side. It's just about finding the pylons, and as soon as you see one of the pylons, you basically know where exactly the attack buildings can be hidden. so that's what Lino just used here. And now he's supplyable, of course, as the Overlord died, but 3 are already on their way. And with everything that we've seen so far, it looks like we have a +2 timing attack with Blink.
Yeah, with the Twilight Council there, that is definitely what we are likely going to see. Because otherwise, it doesn't really make sense to have a Twilight Council this fast with this build. Getting the +2 out is not really going to be as important for holding a third base, for example, with the Immortals. He's going to want to commit more resources to that. Starts Blink immediately, further indicating this attack.
The robotics, of course, part of it here because he wants to have the observers, he wants to have the scouting information and also the vision on the high ground so that he can use the clip mechanics to his advantage. And Lino here at 82 supply is taking into lair. He's getting the speed for his Zerglings, is a little bit ahead in the harvest account. And right now just trying to get a defense that he's able to deal with whatever Rain is going to throw his way.
Yeah, I want to mention Rain has 3 observers, by the way. That is actually a lot of observers to have. It's a lot of resources committed. And with this, that means less Immortals. And he's going to make a Nexus here, but this may be a fake. You know, you always have to consider that because we've seen all sorts of Nexus cancel builds. He's going for this fast Blink, and like I said, the Blink is not going to be very useful defensively.
What we see at this point is that Linog, even though he reached lair, is not starting immediately with the tech. So he wants just to have the extra resources to get units. There's the tech now going for a Spire. Something that I didn't necessarily expect at this point in time because it more indicates Mutalisk than rather just using Corruptors. He didn't see any kind of robotics Bay tech. So Colossi is not something that he is thinking he's going to see right now, especially since he scouted the 3rd. So Mutalisk apparently the choice for Lino.
Yeah. And the Observer is going across the map again, but it will possibly be shut down by the Overseer once more to block the scouting of the Spire. And Rain is adding his gateways at the wall in the main, leaving his 3rd base as the area for him to leave, which is, you know, arguably a smart choice. Some people stylistically like to make the gateways at the 3rd and defend the natural at that choke point, but he's definitely going to be expanding here. I mean, it's not a fake. Next finishing, and he's continuing to produce these observers. He's actually still got 3 on the map right now, despite losing 1.
At this point, Lino now going for a double expansion, so he applies a little bit of pressure, but he has no real intention of overcommitting to this attack and taking down Rain's 3rd base. He just wants to occupy the Protoss and wants to put him into a defensive position while double expanding and preparing his tech. And it works out really well for him. He has 1,200 gas when the Spire finishes and 1,100 minerals, so he can start with the Mutalisk right away. Starts another upgrade as well, double upgrades actually, +1 melee and also the +1 upgrade for his Mutalisk. So pretty cool strategy here. Lino just trying to dominate the map, making sure that he has control over everything that's happening and using this map control to double expand and forcing his opponent to defend.
Yeah. I want to mention as well that the Observer has spotted the Spire, which of course is now taken out. But he needs cannons, and I love this strategy by Leon, with the double extend especially. He's getting some spine crawlers and the Baneling Nest to have all these things defensively, while he just starts to bank up that gas. And we may have Rain struggle to deal with this. This is something that's very hard, especially for novice Protoss to deal with. Not to say that Rain is a novice, but I mean, in general, novice players will struggle with this, and if you haven't dealt with this strategy in the past, you will struggle with this as well. We saw Jaedong even take out Genius with a build similar to this yesterday.
Lino takes down the Observers as he spots every single one of them with the additional Overseer that he has in his Muta group. And right now, of course, Rain has to be a little bit careful what he's going to do, but he has all the tools at his disposal that he can use to force back these Mutalisks. He has cannons, he has Blink Stalkers, and he is also getting now the Templar Archive. But Lino didn't build these Mutalisks to kill his opponent. They were basically just built in order to make sure that he can pressure him. Doesn't kill the Observer here that he just spotted.
Yeah, he was on move command there, and that was really crucial because that means he can see when the mutas are coming before they get there. That gives him a lot of time to prepare. That's something that allowed him to get that blink in the first place in there.
Lino is currently missing a couple of injects in his main base. Not too big of a deal because he just has so many hatcheries and he's still on 33 lava. But we have him with the top left expansion and the expansion to the right side of the map. He's mainly mining gas at those though. And this is a really nice decision by Lino. This is actually so smart. So even if those bases are detected and a few of the zealots of his opponent are heading over, they can't kill too much. And Lino's his gas income is now really, really great. He is getting 1,200 gas per minute at this point.
By the way, the Overseer and the Observer have the exact same movement speed, so this is a chase that will never end with good pathing. Well, until he runs into the corner. In that case, it will end. This is a weird little roach baneling force he's got to the south, by the way. I think it could be effective, but with all the cannons that Leonok is going to face when he attacks, I'm not so sure. It depends on the reaction of Rain.
It's just a run by. As soon as Rain moves out, these units will be set in motion and trying to take down the base, or at least the harvesters. So that's something that he tries to do here. It's not really meant to attack while the forces are still there to defend.
Yeah.
And Leonok is now getting his Hive Tech, but already Rain with a Stargate, so he wants to go for the Fleet Beacon and prepare for the Mothership.
Oh,
Both
man.
players with a little bit more of a passive game this time. Not usually what we see in Zerg versus Protoss, but it's actually a really interesting and very tactical and strategic game. I like it.
I think Rain's about to take a fourth. He's making, well, he was making 6 more cannons. 2 of them finished, now 4 additional cannons. Basically at every base, he's got about 5 cannons. In his main base, he actually has 8. And at his natural, he now has a total of 8 as well. And this is actually just his way of saying, well, now I can defend from multiple fronts. There's basically nothing I can be afraid of. And I love this because so many Protoss players will sink those minerals into Zealot Harass that doesn't end up being as effective against this many mutas. I really, really like the style that we're seeing from Rain. Not hesitating to make a ton of cannons.
Now the units at the bottom right are on the move.
Why did he not move his mutas?
Because he's busy at the bottom right. He didn't see it, and now he's trying to move in with those banelings, but nice warp in here by Rain, but it's not enough. Whoa, a lot of these drones, probes actually dying. 7, the cannons as well. This is exactly what Leonok wanted to do, these multi-prong attacks that he was aiming for, but did not do as much damage as he could have because Rain was on top of his game.
Yeah, he wants to break in on that pylon, but the blink forward is good again. And this is something that Leonok cannot continue to trade like. He does have the Zergling support now, but the Stalker count is insane. In total, 29 of them on the map. The Mothership has started. And he's continuing to push these creep tumors back now with his Observer.
Leonok with a great Aspire, with the Ultralisk Cavern, with the additional Infestors that he has. The Mothership has been started indeed. And now, oh, if those High Templars actually die, and it looks like, yeah, one of them is down, another one has to use the Storm. Leonok wasting a few Zerglings to free up supply and at the same time to force his opponent back again.
Yeah, and with the bank he has, this is totally fine. Oh, great storm on the Lings, but the Mutas just barely escape. A few of them take some damage. There's so many cannons that the second storm here is good. This is the cannons I was talking about earlier, man. Look at how insane that damage is.
Yeah, the Stalkers blinking here did really a lot of damage in combination with the the cannons that we had. The Mutalisks in a bit of trouble, but now here come the Banelings, the Ultralisks, and this is definitely for Leonok a position where he can defend with the Spine Crawlers and just wait for this force to be assembled in order to be really aggressive. So far, he was basically only hoping in order to get a good run by in a good position.
Yeah, and you know, the Ultralisk transition, we've talked about this several times. It can be good. If your opponent spots it, it's easy to repair. By the way, more mutas going down here, and Rain is attacking at the top left. Leonok has set up some defenses, but with some Blink Stalker Micro here, he's actually going to be able to break through. The Ultralisk pop out as well. And this is really important because now he knows about the Ultras. He's going for an attack. He will get this hatchery.
At this position, I actually like the Ultralisk a lot because there's so many Stalkers already on the map, and if he plays this well with good fungals, he can kill a lot here. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't get into any funnel positions where the Ultralisks won't be able to attack. And there are a lot of wide areas on Cloud Kingdom where you can make the Ultralisks work. And he has the Great Aspire, so a transition is definitely not out of the question.
Yeah, he's even starting Corruptors right now. Chitinous plating finishes up here, putting the Ultras at 4 plating for their, 4 armor for their plating, whatever you want to call it. They've got 4 armor.
Here we go. Storms and Fungals, the Ultralisks trying to close the distance, but a lot of them still stuck on the high ground.
Yeah, this is the choke point type scenario you're talking about that you want to avoid with Ultralisks. Yeah, he's trying to get that Infestor. He blinks forward, but gets fungled.
This time he can move in. Yes, those Storms, they are nice, but only against the Mutalisks, not against the Ultralisks. But they are sniped by the Stalkers immediately. Leonok drop in supply like crazy here. He was not really able to make this engagement work. Not at all, actually.
Yeah, he needed better fungals, and of course fighting at that choke point was not good. And Rain is already prepared for the Ultras. He started Charge, which is going to be really helpful to get Zealots to block them, to bug out their AI, and also getting the Immortals out. And Leonok needs a pause here. This is a very unfortunate circumstance for him here. He's losing his hatchery. He's got the base to the top left still, He has the normal fourth going up. It's about to finish. It's about 70 to 80% done right now. But Rain in a very aggressive position here with a proper composition that is against Lennox army. And killing that first wave of Ultras is so important.
Exactly. That was basically the one point where I was a little bit weirded out because I didn't really understand why Lennox would attack here in this position. At first he was walking down the choke point. The rocks were still there, so that was a little bit weird. And apparently the reason why Lennox paused the game is that he had lag problems in the engagement.
Did you notice that one spike? I thought it might have only been on my screen, but I noticed a spike and I was like, oh, maybe it's just me. But maybe something is going on with his client. I'm not sure.
Might it be a Battle.net issue? We have those occasionally. But at this point, definitely the last engagement not really going well for Lennox. And this is, of course, now really, really dangerous for him. He's down in supply. Yes, he has the bank, and he's now going for the transition into Broodlords. But the problem that he's facing is that there is still a very, very stalker-heavy army. We have Archons in the composition of Rain, so he can go for an Archon Toilet as well.
Yeah.
So Lennox suddenly has still the bank to make it work. But he has to be very cautious about it. He's just getting the first 5 Broodlords and actually the second Spire.
And, you know, one thing to note about Rain is that his Mothership in the first fight was relatively useless, but he's also now built up so much energy. So that Mothership is going to have 2 Vortexes available, most likely in a fight. Lennox creep spread still prevalent on the map, but not as strong. One sweep of the Observer will shut that down. And now, like you said, his bank is there, but it's not as strong as it used to be. He lost that hatchery. And so if he loses those Broodlords just one time, Rain is going to be in a much better position economically and composition-wise.
Rain is currently at 5 bases. Lennox, on the other hand, has still the base to the top left, and he's also building his normal 4th base that is basically just trying to put into the picture. But at this point, if Rain is now moving in, then Lennox might not have the time to get these Broodlords. The Broodlords at this point, 5 of them, just started, and he has more infested that he's building. But if Rain doesn't give him the time, takes down the 4th and maybe discovers the base at the top left, or takes down the 3rd, then suddenly Lennox is looking at a very bad economy, whereas, as you just pointed out, Rain is looking at 5 bases. So this is a very, very difficult situation for Lennox to face, and it all depends on whether Rain is now moving in and trying to use his chance to use this opening, whether he's aware of this opening in the first place, or if he's just falling back after killing the base to the right side of the map.
Lennox said in chat that he's ready. We've got our countdown. We're going to go right back into game, starting right now. So the hatchery does fall, as noted earlier, and I think that Lennox needs to buy time before Rain actually gets over that base, but I mean, it's going to be virtually impossible for him to do so. He's really reliant on these Spine Crawlers at his 3rd base. He's got the Broodlords out, but this Stalker army is going to be able to circumvent them and kill this 4th base, a normal 4th base location. He sees it now with the Stalker. He can actually come in here, kill it, blink away, and then just fight somewhere else.
But he has already 8 Broodlords now, and he will have 10 in just a few seconds. He has the Infestors as well. The base is something he can't hold, of course, but there was no mining going on. He didn't lose anything. More important are the units that are headed to the top left now.
Yeah, that is so crucial. If he actually takes out this hatchery, which I think he will because there's nothing to stop him. I mean, he's only got Infestors, Broodlords, and Corruptors really right now. He's making 18 Lings, but he's not mining at that hatch to the top left. And if he loses this, his economy is going to be virtually nothing. He does remake the hatches to the right side.
Well, Infestor, Broodlord, Corruptor are actually pretty good. He just doesn't have the numbers.
Yeah, he doesn't have the numbers, and he can't get over there to save it in time. He doesn't have a bunch of Lings to run in and save it. There's no way he's actually going to be able to move that type of army across there in time.
The army supply is now heavily in favor of Rain. He's 30 supply, there it is, 30 army supply ahead roughly. But now we have a lot of Broodlords. Just the Infestor count is at 5, and they don't have too much energy yet because they just spawned. So this is very unfortunate for Lennox, especially if you just look at Rain. He already has like 3,000 minerals banked up in the gas too, so this is very good for the Caspar player here.
He's going to be using these Warp Prisms to sink his minerals into Zealot attacks, to try to attack tech, for example, kill drones, and also just straight up go for hatcheries across the map that he runs into with his Warp Prism, like the one on the right side.
Rain has to do exactly what he does right now, getting additional gateways so that he can remax after the fight, getting the second forge so that he can start the upgrades a little bit faster. Look at all these gateways. He knows exactly that with the bank that he has, he needs more production to really put this to some use. If a Protoss player forgets to add the gateways, then he can have all the money in the world, but as soon as the fight is over, he might lose the game because he just can't reinforce his army.
Exactly. Oh, this hatchery's not going to be able to stick with it. Unfortunately, he's going to have to cancel that. He does. A few drones will go down. That's not the most significant part here, though. A Fungal will trap some of these units. This is actually huge for Lennox because he's going to get this Archon, it looks like, as well as a group of Stalkers to be Fungals again. Not quite getting it, but we'll get a Templar. That's actually arguably even more important.
Lenog is currently just trying to get as many units into the picture as possible and then carry the momentum into the bottom left of the map to make sure that he kills Rain completely. Because he's mined out now in his main base, he's mined out as his natural. The only mining base that he has at this point in time is his third. He's trying to build the fourth once again. But this is of course also something that Rain is aware of. To the right side of the map, Rain is taking down another hatch that Lino was building, and he won't stop. He will continue to push the pressure onto the expansions that Lino is now trying to enforce.
Lenog basically actually needs to win a big battle decisively to get back into this game, because otherwise Rain is just going to continue to take out hatch after hatch. He's got 2 spires up right now, but he can't even afford to continue researching those upgrades.
Wow, 12,000 resources lost for Rain and 21,000 for Lenog.
That's insane.
It's just this one battle that we've seen that made sure that Lenog was on the losing end of this game, where all the Ultralists basically died.
Yeah.
There's not a single Ultralist left, if I'm not mistaken. Nope.
No, you're right. And once you become behind against this type of mobile, maxed out Protoss army, how are you ever going to be able to get your hatcheries up? As long as he sees them, he will kill them. Oh, the mothership in position. He wants to Vortex. He traps some of the Broodlords, and you know what? That's actually totally fine because the economy situation for Lenog is so terrible, and he already has enough for one more Vortex, so he's actually totally okay with this. A lot of energy being used on these infestors.
Trying to make this work, but Neural Parasite's not done just yet, and those guys are going to die. Another storm, just making sure that not a single Broodlord can escape. 4 of them now dead.
You could see the idea there was quite good. He almost was able to push the Archons away, but not quite. Now he's going to lose his hatchery once more. His army is not in position, and he's even going to lose some drones here. Nice targeting by Rain, and
Lenog has to fight now.
Yeah, he has to, and he grabs some of the Archons, but he needs more than that.
He's killing the first one, he's taking down the second one. The Broodlords have to be fanned out. Unit control is oh so important now. The army supply is actually now even. The base at the top left has been spotted.
No! Oh, he gets it! Vortex, and he does it! This is what he needs!
This is exactly what he needs. Now he needs to take the mothership down.
Yeah, and he will. He drops the Infested Terrans right away. He can neural once more if he needs to. He needs to target that. There he goes.
Yeah, here comes, and there tries to escape, but the fungal is all that he needs. The mothership dies, and now it's time for Lino. Is he actually taking another base, or will he just try to move out? Oh, the Warp Prison in the main base.
Yeah, this is going to be a big distraction and frustration. Does not have a mobile defensive army right now.
No transfuse.
Yeah, no transfuse, and he's got 3 more Broodlords on the way, but how useful is that against fully upgraded Zealots? He's got the fungals now, but he has to use energy, and he's distracted. Now his base at the top left is forced to cancel again. These Broodlords are out of position.
Oh, he was really sending everything over here, but he's actually lucky that Rain doesn't see it.
Yeah,
but
he gets these 2, but the main Broodlord force is safe for now.
But still, the unit control for Lenog at this point a little bit sloppy. He has a lot to deal with. That's, of course, a huge distraction that he's facing. But those 2 Broodlords had no business at the 4th.
Yeah. Macro Hatch falls here. The Infestation Pit is in danger, and a good storm. He's not going to be able to blink up there, but he's trading okay because, I mean, he's got 5,000 minerals. 6,000.
6,000 minerals, and the gas, of course, as well. Now more and more Archons are dying, but the Dark Shrine is nearly done that Rain starts to build. So Lenog doesn't have mining, and Lenog needs to do something. He's losing way too much in his main base. Those Infested Terrans earlier were not able to kill every single one of the Zealots.
Yeah.
And now Lenog is moving out. He knows that this is his only chance. As small as it is, it's the only hope that he has.
Yes, and Rain is just like, he didn't have an observer over on the right side, so he was checking to see that that base was there. Now he sees it, and he's like, oh, it's not even here. I have no concerns anymore. Lenog with 40 minerals right now. His income is 60 minerals per minute, and this may be the final battle. Rain trying to close this. The bungles are good. They deny the Stalkers from getting in there.
Rain doubling the supply of Lenog nearly, though. And now the Protoss army has to run away here because this was just too much fun to handle. And of course, those Immortals on the low ground, they don't do any damage at all to this army.
Very true. The Stalkers were out of position, and now he's got them ready to go. Taking out these the Infestors. They are considered armored units, so just does so much damage to the Stalkers, and G